Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in information, reading books, watching lectures, listening to podcasts, but struggling to connect the dots, then this video is for you. We often fall into the trap of being information collectors, hoarding facts and quotes without really building deep, meaningful understanding. But what if there was a better way? A method that transforms learning from a passive act of consumption into an active process of creation and insight. That's exactly what Syntopic learning is all about. It's not about memorizing what others have said. It's about synthesizing those ideas to form your own unique perspective. In this video, I'm going to break down my exact 7-day system for applying Syntopic learning to any topic you want to master. We'll go through a practical day-by-day plan that takes you from choosing your topic on Monday to consolidating your insights on Sunday. This isn't just theory. It's a repeatable weekly workflow designed for maximum clarity, retention, and those aha moments we're all chasing. We'll cover everything from how to select your sources and collect notes, to comparing ideas, creating visual maps, and testing your understanding so that it actually sticks. And the best part is, this method is incredibly versatile. It doesn't matter if you're a student trying to ace your exams, a professional needing to stay ahead in your field, or simply a lifelong learner who's curious about the world. This framework will help you study more effectively, think more clearly, and build a solid foundation of knowledge that you can actually use. So grab your notebook or open up your favorite note-taking app, and let's dive into how you can master your week with Syntopic study. Alright, so our journey begins on Monday, and the goal for today is to set a clear direction for the entire week. This is arguably the most important step, because a well-defined question acts as a compass, guiding all your learning efforts. Instead of vaguely deciding to learn about productivity, you want to frame it as a specific question. For example, what are the common principles behind the world's most effective time management systems? Or if you're learning about economics, what are the main arguments for and against universal basic income? This question becomes your North Star. Write it down at the very top of your notes, whether that's a physical notebook or a new page in Notion. It keeps you focused and prevents you from going down irrelevant rabbit holes. Once you have your central question, the next step is to gather your materials. You're not trying to read everything ever written on the topic. The goal is to get a diverse set of perspectives. I recommend choosing between 3 to 6 different sources. This could be a mix of books, academic papers, long-form articles, YouTube video essays, or even podcasts. The diversity is key here. You want sources that might approach the topic from different angles, or even contradict each other. For our UBI example, you might pick a book by a proponent, an article from a skeptical economist, and a government report on a pilot program. This variety is what will fuel the synthesis process later in the week. Now that we have our question and our sources, Tuesday is all about immersion and collection. This is your main input day. Your only job is to go through the materials you gathered and let your curiosity lead the way. As you read, watch, or listen, you're on the lookout for anything that resonates. Don't worry about structuring things perfectly just yet. You're essentially panning for gold. Capture direct quotes that you find powerful, summarize key arguments in your own words, and make a note of any statistics or case studies that seem important. I find it helpful to use tags like #quote, #argument, or #data to keep things organized. The other crucial part of this process is to log your own impressions as you go. Learning isn't just about what the author thinks. It's about the conversation happening in your own mind. If a source surprises you, write that down. If it contradicts something you previously believed, make a note of that tension. If an idea sparks a new question, capture it immediately before it disappears. I personally do this in a fleeting notes section in my digital system. This raw material, the combination of the source's ideas and your reactions to them, is the foundation we'll build upon for the rest of the week. Don't overthink it, just collect what stands out. Wednesday is where the magic really starts to happen. We move from simple collection to active comparison. The goal today is to take all those raw notes and start finding the patterns, connections, and conflicts between your different sources. The most effective way I've found to do this is by creating a simple comparison grid or table. You can do this on a whiteboard, in a spreadsheet, or write in your note-taking app. Down the first column, list the key themes or sub-questions that emerged from your reading. For example, definition of the problem, proposed solution, potential drawbacks, underlying assumptions. Across the top row, list your different sources. Now, you simply go through and fill in the grid. How does author A define the problem? How does that compare to podcast B? You're looking for the points of intersection. Where do the authors agree? These areas of consensus are often foundational principles of the topic. More importantly, where do they diverge or outright disagree? These tensions are where the most interesting insights are found. What paradoxes or unanswered questions emerge when you place these ideas side by side? This process forces you to move beyond what any single author said and start building a more nuanced, multidimensional view of the subject. By Thursday, your head is probably swimming with ideas, connections, and contradictions you uncovered yesterday. Now, it's time to get it all out of your head and onto a page in a structured, visual way. The goal is to create a schema, a mental model that represents your new synthesized understanding of the topic. Linear notes are good for capturing information, but they're not great for representing complex relationships. This is where visual tools like mind maps, flowcharts, or concept diagrams come in. These tools, they really force you to think about the hierarchy and structure of the information. Start with your central question in the middle of the page. Then, branch out with the main themes you identified in your comparison grid. From there, you can add the supporting arguments, evidence, and counter-arguments. Use colors, icons, and different line weights to show relationships. For instance, you could use a dotted line to connect two conflicting ideas, or a thick green line to connect a problem to its solution. The act of externalizing your thinking this way does two things. It clarifies your understanding by forcing you to make explicit connections, and it creates a powerful visual artifact that's much easier for your brain to remember than pages of text. Friday is honestly the ultimate test of your understanding. It's time to activate what I like to call Feynman Explain mode, which is inspired by the famous physicist Richard Feynman. The principle here is really simple. If you can't explain a concept in simple terms, you don't truly understand it. So today, your task is to take the complex schema you built yesterday and articulate it as if you were teaching it to a complete beginner. Maybe a curious friend, or even a 12-year-old. You can do this by writing it out, recording a voice note, or just explaining it out loud to an empty room if you like. The key is to avoid jargon and complex terminology from your sources. As you explain, pay close attention to where you get stuck, hesitate, or have to say something like it's complicated. These are the weak points in your understanding. When you hit one of these spots, that's your cue to go back to your notes and your sources to clarify that specific point. A great technique here is to use analogies. How is this concept like something your audience already understands? For example, think of the different economic theories as different recipes for baking a cake. They use similar ingredients but in different proportions to get a different result. Refining your explanation until it's simple, clear, and intuitive is really the final step in cementing the knowledge in your mind. With a solid understanding locked in, Saturday is all about making it useful and honestly durable. Knowledge that isn't applied or connected to the real world tends to fade away. So today we're focused on application and extension. The first way to do this is to actively look for real-world examples of the schema you've built. For instance, if you were studying cognitive biases, you might spend the day observing conversations or watching the news, trying to spot examples of confirmation bias or the availability heuristic in action. This connects the abstract theory to concrete reality, making it so much more memorable and meaningful. Another powerful technique is to extend your thinking. How does this new mental model connect to other things you already know? Can you combine your understanding of habit formation with your new knowledge of project management to create a better personal workflow? You can also actively seek out a new source that challenges or expands upon your current synthesis. Maybe find an author with a completely radical take on the subject. Or, honestly, one of my favorite methods is to teach it to someone else. Having to answer their questions will quickly reveal the boundaries of your knowledge and push you to extend them even further. Today is all about reflection, consolidation, and resetting for the week ahead. This is a calmer, more introspective day. I really recommend setting aside 30 minutes for some structured journaling. Open up a new page and reflect on the journey. What were your biggest insights or aha moments from the week? What was the most surprising thing you learned? And importantly, how has your perspective on the topic shifted from when you started on Monday? Writing this down helps to solidify the narrative of your learning journey. Next, focus on the loose ends. What questions are still unresolved? No single week of study will make you a world expert, and honestly, acknowledging what you still don't know is a sign of intellectual humility. Log these unresolved questions. They make for excellent starting points for future study weeks. Finally, it's time for a bit of digital or physical housekeeping. Organize your notes from the week. Make sure your comparison grid, your mind map, and your Feynman explanation are all filed away and easily searchable for your future self. Then, just take a moment to jot down a few potential inquiry questions for next week, and you're ready to start the cycle all over again. And there you have it, a complete 7-day framework to take you from a curious beginner to a synthesized thinker on any topic. The real power of this Syntopic study week isn't in doing it just once, but in making it a consistent, repeatable practice. Imagine the intellectual confidence you'll build after a few months of this. Each week you'll be constructing a new robust mental model, and over time these models will start to connect, creating a lattice work of knowledge that is uniquely your own. This process compounds, and soon you'll be able to see connections and draw insights that were previously invisible. Remember, the goal of Syntopic learning is not to study harder or to consume more information. It's really about studying wiser. It's about shifting your focus from the quantity of what you learn to the quality of your understanding. This system provides the structure to do just that, transforming learning from a chore into a deeply engaging and creative act. It puts you in the driver's seat, making you an active participant in the creation of knowledge, not just a passive recipient. It's a true game changer for anyone serious about their personal or professional growth, so I encourage you to give this a try this coming week. Pick a question that you're genuinely curious about and follow the steps. I would absolutely love to hear about your experience. What topic are you going to tackle? Do you have any questions about the process? Drop them in the comments below. I read and reply to as many as I can. It's always fascinating to see what our community is learning. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.